Hello, everyone. I hope that you are having a wonderful day. And I'm here with Facebook Live. And as you can see down in the left hand corner there, Mr. Sean is taking a nap back there also. So I hope that you're on. And if you are, please respond with a hello, Carol, or whatever, so that I know at least someone's out there and that I'm not actually just talking to myself here. So I hope you're all having a wonderful day. I do want to mention right here at the beginning that we do have monsoon storms in our area around here. I noticed just before I came on live that an emergency alert came on, and even though I have do not disturb on my devices, if a warning comes through, we're going to hear it here. So, oh, hello, Barb Fortier and Jean and Kathy. Good, at least I know we're broadcasting and that everything's coming out. Okay. Well, today we're going to do, as I said, a mandala painting, which is something that I have just gotten into in the last couple years. And so I'm going to share that with you today. And again, I'm using Switcher Studio, which is a software program for doing Facebook Lives. It's a little bit different than Zoom, and so, you know, I'm still working through some of the bugs, so if I press the wrong button, please forgive me, because eventually we'll get to the right place. And so let's start today. I see some more folks are coming on, and that's really great to see. But we're going to start talking today about what you need to set up your dotting projects. And I know some of us are reluctant to, oh, I don't want to start another kind of art or crafting or whatever, because I've already got paints, brushes, all different kinds of things for different other crafting projects, and I'm into needlepoint, and I'm also into different kinds of projects, so I don't need something else to get into my stash, so to speak. Well, the one thing about dotting is that's what makes it so appealing for those of us who have been painters. We already have the paint, we already have the stash of surfaces. I'm sure a few of you have a couple extra things laying around in your studio. So we have the paint, we have the surfaces, we have water basins, we have Q-tips, paper towels, we have all of those things that we need. So now, what do we need to take one step further to get into dotting? Well, the thing about that is, let me pull up a couple of things that I like to use for dotting. Now, the first two things you're going to need are dotting tools and maybe a compass. You've already got your white chalk pencil, you've got rulers, all of those things. So let's talk about the main set of tools that you are going to be using to dot. Now, just as there are thousands of brushes out there to pick and choose from, it's the same with dotting tools. And I've tried the home sets where you get a Q-tip, you get a pencil, you get a pen, and I did some with those. Then I got crochet hooks and some nail dotters, and then I bought DIY mandala tools, which were a whole set. Then I bought Mark's Mandala tools, again, which were a whole set. And after experimenting with those different tools at length, I've come up with the ones that I find that for me are the most comfortable. Now, you might have some that you love, or you might have put together some dowel rods or things like that that you like to dot with. It's totally personal preference. But if you haven't purchased tools yet, I just know most of you would have about the same size hand as I do. Maybe not, maybe your fingers are longer. But the one thing that I do like are these. These are the DIY Mandala stone tools. They are a type of plastic, acrylic, and I got them from Amazon. There are a set of 28, and what that means is there are 14 different sticks, and each end has a different size. What I like about these are each one is numbered so that on my e-packets I can tell you specifically which number of dotting tool that you would be using. And I also have developed a conversion chart from the DIY dotting tools to go with Mark's Mandala and also the crochet hooks and all. But these are my ones of preference. I like them because they're round and they're easy to use. They fit my hand well, and I just feel very comfortable with them. Another tool that you're going to, and as you can see, I wanted to mention, the price is $36. So if you have Amazon Prime, of course, there's going to be free shipping. And the other set of tools that you would need would be a little nail art paint manicure kit. These 5 dots would be, or 5 tools, have each a different dot on the end. And again, you can see the price, they're under $5. So if you already have your paint, your surfaces, for under $40, you're going to be able to get a good set of tools that are going to help you along the way. And there are, again, there's the DIY dotting tools. Those are from Amazon. And then these are the nail dotters that are also available from Amazon. So you can order those in a kit and usually have them in a couple days, and you'll be able to start. One other thing, a couple other things that we're going to need is and you can see here, I have my tools set up on this. It's called a pen stand, P-E-N stand, and I think it was like $9. This holds 12 of the 14, and I have them all in from small up to large size, so that makes them easy after I'm finished to put them back. And I know some gals have written in black what the number on the tool is to make it easier to read. So that's just another little accessory that you might want to get if you're going to be doing a lot of dotting. It keeps your tools from rolling around, and I usually knock these off a couple times when I'm doing my dotting, but that's just part of it. And of course, here are my nail dotters. And one thing that I did, I have a lot of styluses around here from painting for so many years. And I took just a regular stylus that was very inexpensive, and I bent the corner, the ends down. You can see how I took just a pair of needle nose pliers. This was straight, and I took a pair of needle nose pliers and just bent them down on each end so that when I hold them, I'm at a 45-degree angle and it's easy to dot. So that might be something you'd want to do. Excuse me. A compass. These are $2 or $3 on Amazon. And of course you're going to need a ruler. I like a white chalk pencil, but you can also, on black, you can use a regular pencil. It'll just show up as a regular gray. You're going to need to base coat, and I've used everything from chalk paint to regular matte finish. I've used multi-surface. In fact, that's what this is. You can see it kind of gives it a little bit of a smoother shine. And you know, I want to give you a little tip today. I bought some very inexpensive canvases off of Amazon, and they're the U.S. Art Supply Liberty series. And I have them in all different sizes because I really like the canvas panels. But what I noticed was that where the gesso had been put on the canvas, and gesso is a kind of a prep for the canvas, it was really bumpy and rigid in these less expensive panels. So what I did, let me grab it over here. I meant to have it. This is a block sander with a sponge in it. And before you paint them or do anything with them, if you take this and really sand off the white gesso that's on there, it knocks down all those ridges and makes it very, very smooth. And so I just wanted you to kind of know about that, because these come as a pack of 12, and they come in all different sizes. So you can turn these inexpensive canvas panels into a very smooth panel with just the purchase of one of these sponges. And as you can see, I use this all the time. Okay, let's see, what else do we have here? Of course, paint is very important, and you can use any kind of paint you want. For this, I chose the Deco Art Metallics. It seems like that Deco Art paints for dotting are easier to use than folk art. And the reason for that is not that anyone's better than the other, because sometimes I use folk art paint. These are a little thinner, which makes the setting of your dots easier on your canvas or surface. And but you can use tube acrylics, you can use folk art paint, you can use any kind. However, you want it the correct consistency. In fact, one of the most important things of dot painting is to have paint that is just about the consistency of cake batter. And so the way to achieve that, we don't add water, because water might thin our paint down to where it would not be opaque enough for us, is to use either a pouring medium to thin the paint down, and you can use Deco Art pouring medium, Liquitex, and you can use that to thin paint. Now, to thicken a cheaper paint like Apple Barrel or some kind of inexpensive craft paint, you would use an iridescent medium. That's going to thicken up very, very thin acrylic paint. So there's always a way to fix and use everything, so no matter what kind of paint you have, you're going to be able to use it easily just by mixing it thoroughly. Oh, and you're going to need a little tray. You can get a tray of these at Dollar Tree. I think they're 6 or 8 for $1.25. But these are nice to use because a lot of times we're using 4 or 5 colors, and just keep that in mind. And as we're going along, I see your names. Hello, everyone. Karen and Belinda and Irene. I appreciate all of you being here. And so we're going to continue on now. If you do have a question, please put it in the comments, and I'll try to answer it as we're going along. We're going to be actually doing this mandala this evening on it's a saucer that you put under a flower pot. It's terracotta, and we've simply painted it black. And if you don't have a saucer that you want to use, then you can go ahead and use a 5x5 canvas panel or surface. And you can see, and let me see if I can get these both up here at the same time. Well, let me try it again. Hang in here with me. Okay, let me come back here and then punch this, and okay, now let me put this in there. Well, it's not doing what I want to do. So, but you can see we've got the inside of the little saucer, and then all I've done to the panel is to add the outside white dots and have done a little more embellishment around those. So you can see that it's just very, very the same design, but with just a little bit of additional embellishment. So let's come back to the live now, and let me come in just a little closer, just a little bit more. There we go. All right, so the first thing we're going to need to do, whether we're actually marking our panel or our saucer, is we need to mark a grid. And if you have your e-packet with you, you'll see that I show you in the e-packets how to do everything from the very beginning. You do not have to know how to do this ahead of time. You can just come in, and I also give you instructions about how to do different techniques with the dotting tools and the nail dotters, and then we go step by step. So if you haven't gotten your e-packet yet, you can go onto my website at www.carolcraigcreations.com, and you are able then to go to online class register, and the packet is in there. So the first thing we're going to do, and you can do this with any surface that you're going to be using. Now I know it's hard to find the center. We don't really know how to do that. So what you can do with a round surface like this, is to take a piece, turn it over, take a piece of paper, and actually I'll just bring something like this out, and then you would just go underneath and draw a circle around the bottom. And then you'll want to take a pair of scissors and cut it out. Oh, thank you, Belinda, for putting that up. You're just going to go in and cut out your circle. Then, to mark off the sections, you're going to fold it once, fold it again, and then fold it again. So that's going to give you 8 equal pieces of the pie for your center circle. Then you take your scissors and just snip off the center piece and go on the corners here and here. And when you unfold it, you don't have to measure or do anything. There are your 8 equal sections. And then all you have to do is lay that down in the middle of your circle. Take whatever pencil you're going to use and mark it here at each one of the 8 sections. And Linda, I saw where you said you weren't sure if you were going to get into dotting yet, and that's why it's so good to have these free lessons so that you can kind of look at it and see if it's something you would be interested in doing. I did go in and describe the tools before you came on, but I'm not sure if you got on when I did that. But as you can see now, just by using our little template here, we have our 8 sections. And then I'm simply going to take a piece of straight cardboard or whatever. I'm going to have to kind of cut this down a little bit so that it goes inside my saucer. Normally you don't have to worry about this. You can just use a ruler. But you see, I can come in now. This side looks a little straighter. And I can come in and just draw across all of my markings to get those equal sections. And it's at this point when, if we were in class or live on Zoom, that someone would be making a little remark that we would all be giggling about. So it's different doing a Facebook Live. It isn't as much fun because I don't have anybody there to giggle with me. But here we go. So you can see I've got all of those sections marked. And you can do the same with a piece of a panel or surface, and you just go from side to side. And again, I'm just using, this is just a regular chalk pencil that we use all the time in our dotting and mudding and painting. And so now we've found our center here, but we also need to come in and make the section here. So because I know that this is 5 inches across, I've come in and marked 2.5 inches, and I just come in and do the same thing here. I measure 2.5 inches. And so now, whether I'm going to be dotting on a round surface or a flat surface, I have both of my surfaces marked and ready to dot. So let's get our paints out now and we'll get started. Let's see, go to page 2 of the paper of our e-packet, and I show you on here ways of doing swooshes, which are these little marks here, and these are comma swooshes. I don't know if these are the correct terms in the dotting world, but I like to use a comma swoosh because that's just what we're doing. We're making a comma shape around a dot or around a element that's had the dots walked. And then I call these line swooshes because they're straight. Makes sense to me, but that's kind of some of the terminology that I'm going to be using in my e-packets. And then I also have a diagram here that shows you how to walk the dots. And so I'm just going to put out a little bit of the white pearl paint. And of course you want to make sure that it's well shaken. And we're going to pour that out. And before we actually do any kind of dotting on our surface, we're going to come in and let me bring you in a little closer. Oops, not quite that close. Yeah, that'll be fine. We're going to go over how we do some of our different little techniques that we do besides dotting. First of all, let's talk about how we actually place a dot on our surface. Now you might be thinking, oh come on Carol, you just dip and dot. Well, in some cases you do, but most of the time you don't. We're going to come in here and I'm going to take a toothpick here in my paint, and I just want to kind of see how it is. Yeah, that looks about like cake batter. If I felt it were a little bit thick, I would add a little bit of pouring medium. Remember, to thin your paint, you use pouring medium, but that looks about right. So and I did it myself when I first started. I would come in and I would just dip this into my paint and then just hit the surface. You can hear me hitting it. Well, you don't do that. You load up your paint on your dotting tool and you get quite a bit because as you can see, it's kind of runs around a little bit. It needs to be thick on there. But then when we go to place the dot, we're going to hold the tool straight up and down, and we're just simply going to let the paint kiss the surface, just like that. That was a number 12. And you know that it's been done correctly because see that little ridge there in the middle? That is going to kind of spread out with gravity as we go. Let me show you what happens when I come in and I just pick up some paint. I just went and picked up some paint and I just dotted. It just, you don't get the same look and you're not going to have consistent pressure. And that's what you need to do, is you need to have consistent pressure when you're placing dots. See, that just kind of kissed, so I dip again. See, you didn't know you were going to be kissing all evening. Well, you're going to be kissing with dots. I don't know if you're going to be kissing anything else, but anyway. So you see, as I'm consistently kissing that, I'm getting consistent pressure, and you can see how the size of the dots is the same, and the little ridge that we get on the dot, that's exactly what we're wanting. So I want you to keep that in mind. So now what you will want to do after you use each dotting tool is you're going to want to wipe it off. And I use either a wet or damp paper towel. And so you don't really want to use alcohol on these very often unless they get stained. Just plain soap and water. And so see now that I used a number 12, and because I have my little stand here, I can just place that right back there so I'm not going to have it rolling all around. So that's the first thing. You can see now how consistent those 3 little dots were. And I've got paint all over me. I'm sorry about that. But you see how this one came out? And this one's working its way out to the edge. And you've got nice little mounds of paint there. Okay, so that's one of the first things you want to keep in mind when you're dotting. Let's talk about line swooshes now. And so we're going to bring in our paint here. And this is the pink tool. And I use the larger end. It's really up to you and how big of dots that you're going to, and lines that you're going to be doing. But you want to dip, and then you want to tap, maybe go get a little more paint, tap again, and then all you're going to do is simply pull for a line swoosh. So again, just tap, and pull. Now, some of you might find that it's easier to tap and pull down. Again, it's like learning any other technique. Sometimes it's easier for us to do it differently. For me, it's easier to go up. I seem to have better results when I tap and then go up. But that is a line swoosh. Comma swooshes are very similar. We're going to come in, we tap here around a dot, and then we simply pull around. And in order for your dot to pull like that, it's all about paint consistency. So if your paint consistency is not correct, it's not going to work. So that is the comma swooshes. Now, walking dots is a little bit different, and it's fun because all we're doing to walk the dots is to simply place our nail dotter or one of our dotting tools, and we're going to touch, and we're going to continue to touch until our dots get smaller. And you can see that I always touch in the same place on my dotting tool. I don't put down this dot and then turn my stylus and put down the next one because there's going to be a different amount of paint in there. I want to come in, put in my dot, and then come out from there and keep tapping in the same place, and that's what's going to reduce the size of your dots. So, okay. Hey, Pat, Houston, and Barb, I see you, and Belinda. So now I'm just cleaning off my tool again, and we're going to come in with our saucer. And like I said, I actually painted this. You'll notice it's got a little bit of a sheen to it. And I painted it with the Folk Art multi-surface paint because I sometimes, on things like this, I do like a little bit of the sheen. You can see the sheen on it. So, if you take your e-packet, and if you're dotting, come along and dot with me. And we're going to start in the center. And in your e-packet, it always shows you how to start. And see, it says center number 20 with white pearl. So I would simply go to my dotting tool that has the number 20 on it. I know that's hard to see, but I'm gonna bring in my white paint and I'm gonna dip my dotting tool in there. I'm gonna dip it 2 or 3 times. And then I'm gonna let the paint kind of rest on there just a second and work it around so that I have it equal. And then I'm simply gonna come in and touch the center, just like that. And again, now I'm done with this, so I'm gonna wipe it off. And if you wipe it off with a damp cloth each time you do it, then it's simply not going to build up on there. All right, so for round 2, we're going to get out Emperor Gold. These are all nice fall colors. Look at that pretty gold color there. And I can just tell by the way it came out of the bottle that it's a nice consistency too. And we need to get our antique bronze and copper. So I'm gonna put out these colors. This is the bronze. And I really love the way this copper color really is super bright. It's just really pretty. And then we'll be also using the 24K gold. Like I said, you can use any colors or paint that you have. Okay, so there's all of our nice colors. And the reason that I chose the white pearl for this is because, as you can see, it gives it kind of a gray look, more of a gray look. And that's kind of, I didn't want anything super bright. So we're gonna do that. Okay, so for our first round, we're gonna take a number 1, which is, it's right here. And we're going to take antique bronze, which is this color, the brown color right here. And it doesn't matter which, where we go with this. We're just simply placing dots around the circle. So if you're doing this along with me, why, just start dotting around your circle. And it's always these first 2 or 3 rounds that seem to take the longest. And it also seems like they're the most difficult. I don't know why. I think it's because you're just getting started and you're just kind of trying to find your rhythm. Okay, so there's the first round, and we're wiping off our tool. Second round is number 2, which is on the other end, and this is with the emerald gold, Emperor Gold. And again, we're just coming, we're just coming around the outside of those. And I kind of like to turn mine as I'm going, and you want to keep some space in between. And of course, since I'm doing this live on camera, I'm sure to have goofs, but you gals will bear with me on this because I'm trying to do it as quickly as possible here in the live forum. If you have any questions, put them up in the comments. I'll try to look up and see if you are asking any questions. But if you notice, I'm not fudging. You can't just dip and dot and then dot dot, because you'll be walking the dots and the dots will not be the same size. Naughty, naughty. Okay. Number 2 with Emperor Gold. So now the next round is number 4 with the copper. I'm a little bit square on that one side, but you'll notice that as we add more rounds to this, that any of those little imperfections that you had when you first started, they just kind of get lost, and that's wonderful. There's always so much going on in a mandala that little boo-boos are not as, we know that they're there, but most other people don't see them. So and I know watching me do this is probably like just about watching paint dry, but it gives you a good idea of how much time it takes. And actually, to do a bigger mandala, it does take a little bit of time, but that's the great thing about them, because you can do them, walk away from them, and then you're able to go back again. So now we're ready for round number 4, and we're going to use a number 6 with the 24 karat gold, and I think that's right here. And on this one, we're going to place the dots on each one of our pie sections. So we're going to come and go to each line, and you can see now why it's nice to have those markings. I've watched some gals that all they do is find their center and then go from there, and they just continue to do it all. So, oh, hi, Cabby. Oh, it's nice that you're here. I hope you're doing well. And then we come in, and to get 16 around, we would simply come in and just place the dots equally between the 8 that we just marked. That's why we don't have to mark 16 sections, because we can just come back in and use them this way. Okay, so there is our dots around, and at this point then, we're going to actually mark outside of here with a compass. A lot of times I will set up to use the compass before we start, but depending on how close your dots may be, it might not always work for you to do that. And as you can see here, we're just coming to 1 inch. Right there is marking 1 inch, and it's okay if we put this little point in the center of our dot right there, and then we're simply going to come, oops, it slipped. We're going to come around and mark 1 inch. So you can see there is our line. It's very light, but you can see it. If you do get a little dot in there, you can always come back and tip it again. So now, if you felt better at this point, you could let this dry. You can see I've got a couple little places here that are need to be touched up. But that's what's so great about dotting, because you can come back in with your base color, and I'm not going to take the time to correct that right now, but you can always fix it with more. So I'm just going to continue on, and if you're looking at your pattern, now you can see that we are going to add lines, our line swooshes, which are these right here. And to do that, I tell you to go in with a number 8 and use the thin end of a nail daughter to pull down the gold dot. And since I like to go up with my dots, I'm gonna put it down and then pull up. So I'm gonna go here on my circle, and I'm going to be going on my 8 sections, and I'm going to decide which of my dot tools that I want to use, and I think I'm going to use the pink one with this end. And oh, hi Chris Williams and Margene, hey, thanks for joining us. So now if you come in with your number 8 tool and you come right there on that line, then you take the short end of your dotting tool, or the thin end, and you just pull in and pull in your little dot like that. So we're going to go around and do one of those. Sometimes you have to do 2 dots, 2 dips, if you are pulling the line in a pretty long line, but this is like very, very short line, so it makes it easy to pull up on that. Now you might find that it's easier to pull down, and those are just some things that you would want to experiment with. I like to push up. Don't ask me why, I just do. Gosh, Chris Williams is here. Now I'm nervous. Oh, no, I'm really not, because you gals know me well enough to know that if I make a boo-boo on here, it's normal. So we have so much fun in our online classes all the time because, well, of course, I don't record them. I've never recorded my online classes. And I did that for a reason. I wanted everybody to feel real free to show their work and ask questions and not hold back because they were being recorded. And believe me, I've never had to worry about that because those girls just really let me have it sometimes. But that's what's been so much fun. And I can't believe it, but I have been teaching live online now for 8 years, and sometimes I just wonder how those years can go by so fast. But I always appreciate you all coming and joining in with me, and also my fireside chats. So if you haven't joined us for a fireside chat, we've been doing those for 4 years, and everybody shares what they've been doing, and we just have a blast on those. So you can see it doesn't take very long to do those little line swooshes. And so now that those are in, we're going to take a number 3 with our white paint, and we're going to put a dot above, oops, that was number 4, I always check. We're going to put a dot above each one of these in between, because then we're going to walk dots around. And I just I like to get into what I call kind of a rhythm of dotting, because then your dots are more consistent. And I think, again, I'm going to, now see, I used my number 3, so I wiped it off and put it back in the little stand here. I think that I am going to use the large end of the pink one. And because I'm right-handed, the right side of the dot, walking the dot, is easier. So I'm going to come here and then come around. And I'm going to do that on the right side with each one. Am I counting the number of dots? Really, I'm not. If I were doing a commission for someone for this, I might be a little bit more persnickety, but I'm just coming in and placing these little dots consistently on the right side and bringing them around, you can see. So, and I'm not turning my nail daughter, I'm not moving it, I'm just coming around. Okay, so I've done all of those on the right side. Now for me to do, okay, this is an easy side. Everybody has an easy side and an awkward side. When I put these dots in, my elbow is out and my arm is relaxed. Now, if I were to try to do them on the other side, my elbow's crunched up in my ribs and it's not comfortable. So in order for me to do my awkward side, I simply come in and do them upside down. And once again, my elbow's out, my arm's relaxed, and the more relaxed and comfortable you are when you're doing these various techniques, the more successful you're going to be. And also, if you get into the habit of doing that this way, then you're going to, you're not even going to have to think about it. And you know yourself, when you're learning something new, it's work to think about it, but then once you learn how to do it and you don't have to think about it anymore, then it's much more fun. And that's what we're trying to do. So there, now you see we've walked our dots, and it was made easy that way. So then we're repeating the next, we're still going to put another set of walking the dots in there, and this time we're using our bronze color as our center dot. So I'm going to bring that in right there. I think, can you see it? Yeah. Okay, right on top. And this gives you a guideline then of where you walk your dots from. I usually turn mine as I'm doing it because then there's less chance of paint dripping across my project, she says. It doesn't always work out that way, but okay, so there's all of my dots, and I'm going to do the very same thing again. I'm going to use my larger, let me see if I can, my bronze is right there, so you can see I'm dipping and dotting right from the same place. So right side first, because as a right-hander, that's my easy side. If you're a left-hander, you would probably do your left side first. And if you can't bring them all the way down, just take them as far as you can because it's going to look nice anyway. I tell you, what these little saucers are used for is little jewelry saucers like at your kitchen or your bathroom sink. And if you have rings or anything that you want to take off, or at nighttime you want to put your pierced earrings or something, these are nice little trays to put those in. And because they're so nice for that, they make wonderful little inexpensive gifts. And you could just make up a whole, and you can, the great thing about dotting is you could use this same pattern but with different colors. Oh my gosh, maybe somebody is into turquoise and purples and fuchsias. Do I know anybody like that, Belinda? And you could make her own custom one in those colors. So just because you don't have a different pattern, just take the same pattern and change the colors. So see, there we are. We've got, I mean, that right there looks like a little design that you could put on any smaller item. So now if you're following along on your e-packet, we're at page 5, and we're going to use the pink nail daughter, and we're going to create comma strokes on each side of where we have dotted. And I'm going to use the larger end. Oops, and I've got a little dot of paint there, so let me grab a Q-tip and just get that out of there. And then, okay, so we're going to come in here, touch, and pull. And I've got a little imperfection there on that dish, but you can see I needed to go over it. And I think I will go back over it again. But I'm going to touch and pull. Touch and pull. You can dot on virtually any surface. Ornaments are wonderful. I'm going to be dotting on some Christmas ornaments for us this fall. Comma swoosh. Just that easy. And see, I get into a rhythm and I'm just able to catch and pull. So now I went around. Look how fast I went around that. So now I'm just touching and going up, touching, going up. Again, this keeps my arm and elbow out away from my ribs so that I'm not all scrunching up. And also, when you're dotting, girls, and you've heard me say this before about other things, you are allowed to breathe. And please keep your shoulders down from your earlobes and don't tighten up. This is supposed to be relaxing. Okay, so there's our comma strokes. Look how fast that this is coming together now. Okay, so let's see what we're doing next. Alrighty, so we just did, okay, so now we're ready for 9, and I'm going to take, it really helps for me to actually have a guide to go by so that I can be consistent with it for you. Here, you want to see what my paper looks like as I'm creating something? Look at this. As I'm going, I write it down. If I didn't, I would forget it. So let's see, we're going to take a number 5 dotting tool with our Emperor Gold, and we're going to go above. We're going to go above the commas, right there. And so, oops, got a little bit of a string there. That's why you want to let the paint kind of settle on the tool before you come in to do this. I kind of let it, I kind of turn my tool a little bit. I think that's why these have been so comfortable for me, because as I turn them, they're round. Marks are hexagon shape, and I don't seem to be able to manipulate them as easily as I can the round ones. All right, so now there's our next round, and we're going to wipe off our tool. And we're going to come in and walk dots again. And again, for this size of project, this pink nail daughter just seems to be the best for me on this, because it gives me the size of dots that I need. And see, I'm only getting about 3 in there, but that's okay, because what we're wanting to do is fill space. And sometimes when I'm designing too, I just put a center dot in and I have absolutely no idea what I'm going to do. I usually pick out some colors, but I have no idea where it's going to go. So you never know. And now this paint is getting a little tiny bit thick, and I'm having to baby it a little bit to not be sticky with me. Sometimes the 24 karat gold does that. And like I said, you want to keep your paints, regardless of what brand you use, you want to keep your paints the consistency of cake batter or yogurt, something like that. And like I said, and some of you have come on since then, you can use to change the consistency of your paint. If it's too thick, you can use some kind of pouring medium, doesn't matter what kind. And to thicken your paint up, you use an iridescent medium. So that's just, you just want to get those paints the consistency of cake batter. All right, so now let's see, where are we at? We just did round number 10. Okay, round number 11. We're going to use our nail daughter, and we're going to use the bronze, and we're going to put comma swooshes in again. And this time I'm going to use the larger end and come in and just pull, oops, off camera, sorry, a little bit. Touch and pull. I find I'm really, really liking the Folk Art multi-surface to base coat. Oops, look what I just did here. I forgot to put dots, so I will have to do that. I really like the Folk Art multi-surface for my underpainting because with the smooth surface, the paint glides easily for swooshes on it. And it covered in one coat, and I really, really like that. I'm not a fan of base coating, which is why right now I'm base coating 28 Christmas trees for the Oklahoma convention. And the great thing about that is is not only do I have to seal them, but I also have to paint them green, and I'm using Folk Art Soft Apple underneath those, and then I'm painting them with Engine Red, and so that's like 58 Christmas trees being painted, so it hasn't been all that much fun. So see, here I am finishing up these comma strokes. Now where was it? Oh, I forgot to do the little walking dots on the other side. So let me come in here real quick and do that. I came in a little close with that, but no one will notice. Okay, so what are we going to do next? Okay, we're going to take our white pearl with a number 5, our number 5 dotting tool, and we're going to come right above here. You can see how quickly these can be done. I took a long time to explain about some of the things that we do with our dotting, but if you were just going to sit down and do one of these, it would be super simple. And then we're simply going to walk the dots around there. Oh, I know what I forgot to do. Oh, I skipped a step, but that's the one nice thing about dotting. Let me come in here with the 10 and the Emperor Gold, and we're going to come in here, and we're going to come right here and put that dot in there. I'm not sure if I was supposed to put a white dot above that other one or not, but if not, it still looks fine. So we'll come in here. Obviously, this is going to be our last dot because we've run out of room. And now we're going to take the number 5, and we're going to come in here with our white dot above here, and that'll be fine. We're going to tap that right there, there. And you can always come in after you're finished and wipe off all of your marking lines. Okay, so now we have those dots, and let's go back. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's fun to get a bunch of your friends together to do this, and you know, you can actually take items that you have in your home, like pencils and Q-tips and things like that, and if you have family get-togethers, you can dot things with just regular household items. I did a Make It and Take It at Oklahoma, was it last year or the year before? And I just used pencils and Q-tips and dowel rods and as the dotting tools, and it just worked wonderfully. We did a snowflake on a round wooden ornament. So you can get as fancy or as simple as you want. This is actually very relaxing too, believe it or not. It's like painting, but it's a repetition that, you know, puts your, oops, I was off, I'm sorry. It's a repetition that really can be calming to you. So let's look and see what we've got here now compared to what I've got here. And I think I'm going to the next page. Okay, so now I'm going to come in around my, instead of white dots, I have gold dots, but who's going to know? So I'm going to come in now and just simply put in my copper comma strokes around this. And let me stay on camera. I'm so used to my other camera that switching to this camera is much different. On swooshes is when your paint really has to be movable so that you can do that swoosh in one movement. That's why I like the multi-surface paint for that. And you can get as technical or as simple of design as you want for a mandala, and they're going to be beautiful. Another thing about a mandala painting that really, it teaches you a lot more about putting colors together and about color theory, because you know, you might want to put complementary colors, split complementary colors, and so it, you know, it's going to make a difference. All right, so I'm going to just come in now, because I should have had a larger gold dot there. I'm just going to come in now and put in fact, let me grab a number, let's see. I think I'll do a number 2 tool here and just come in and put the dots in. Oops, there's a comma swoosh I forgot. And depending on how closely you get your dots as you're first learning, you might want to come back in and fill in some places that I don't have filled in, that maybe you have a little more space. And so there's really no rules. So that's looking pretty much identical to what we've got here now. Okay. So if you wanted to leave it just like that, you could, but I came in around the rim with a number 8 and number 8 tool, and see there it's marked for me. And I came in, and every other place I put a dot. So I came in there with a copper one. So I'm going to do every other space copper around. Over each one of those. And then in between those, I would come back in with a gold color, just for a little variety. And then I'll wipe off my dotting tool and then come back in, and I think I'm going to bring in some Emperor gold. And so you would go in and do all of those. Oh, Belinda, thank you for putting that up. And then of course we would come in and with our dotting tool and put a little dot at the top, and then just walk around on one side, and you would do this very thing on each one of those around on the inside of your rim, so that it ended up looking like this. And if you have a little place in the middle where I had my compass, then you can just come back in, or you can dot right over it again. So now for me to finish up, I just need to walk around those. And so that is the completion of the little saucer. Now if you wanted to continue on out and do this pattern with a panel, the only other thing you would do is substitute. See, there's our comma, white comma there, and here's our white comma. The only difference then would be to come in, and I think I used a number 16 tool there, and then a number 5 and a number 7, and just walk the dots. around on each one, and then just came in and walked 3 little dots out from there. So you could just finish this up any way you wanted to. So let me get everything on here now, and I hope that you enjoyed that. Here, this is what we did. And you can see that by using the 5x7, then you can add those extra little white dots out there. So, I hope you've enjoyed dotting this with me this evening. And if you have any questions, put them in the comments section, and I'll answer them after the broadcast is over. This will be available to see up on my YouTube channel, which is Carol Craig Creations. So I'll get that up there tomorrow, and you can watch it here on the Facebook page or up there on my YouTube channel. So thank you again for coming in, everybody. And let's see, Carol, you should do an ornament for the Let's Paint Holiday Ornament Exchange. Oh, I've seen some of them. Yes, those are beautiful. And for those of you who don't know, Plaid is having an ornament exchange, and I know you can go to their Facebook page to get all the particulars about it. So, Chris, if you want to put up your the Facebook page name there in the comments so everyone can see them, then maybe they'd want to participate too. That's a wonderful idea. So, well, thank you everyone for being with me this evening, and I hope to see you again another time on a Facebook Live.